What's going on, guys? Jurassic here. Today we're going to be learning how to platinum farm inside of Elite Dangerous. So over inside of Omnicron Capricorni B, which we'll have a link down in the description down below and how you guys get to this area, we are at the Martin Enterprise Station. Today we are using the Python. However, later on in the week we'll have a build series on the best medium-sized ships to mine with, why you should do those, and then later on we'll have one more geared towards the larger ships. If you guys in the community want to have your build showed off, please feel free to leave them down in the description down below. We'll be sure to include them in the video. Alright, so we'll head over to outfitting. There's a few basic necessities that you have to have inside of your ship to laser mine. First off being mining lasers. We're using the Python, so it has size 3 slots at the top, size 2 at the bottom. If you have 3 size 2 mining lasers, that'll be fine up here. And if you just want to include some size 1 lasers down here at the bottom just to save on some power, that's a bit more ideal. Currently, we are using the pre-engineered mining lasers combined with the size 2 mining lasers. We don't have everything fully maxed out because I want to show it's actually possible without having to have everything done. For utility mounts, you don't really need these. However, it's always nice to have some heat sinks. For the core internals, once again, a lot of this stuff doesn't really matter when it comes to mining since you're not going to really be moving too much. So we just have the default lightweight alloy. You do want to have a decent power plant if you can engineer it, that's even better. If not, that's fine. You don't really need thrusters upgraded since we're not really going to go too far. As soon as we jump inside of the asteroid field, basically we're going to be there. That same argument applies to your SEO drive. We don't really need to go too far, so a 5C SEO will be just fine. If you want to do a 5A, that's cool too. Or a 5D to save on your mass, that we can go a little bit further. Whichever way works. That is the reason why we use our life support as 4D, mainly because of the mass. C is set to 4 tons. A better life support technically would last longer if your windshield cracks. However, the goal here is to not have that issue. And this lasts 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Basically, everywhere close to the station is fine, so you don't have to worry about that. One thing that is essential, though, is to have your power distributor upgraded as high as possible. We have a 6A power distributor set up with the modifications to enhance our weapons, which will allow the mining lasers to do better. If you don't have engineering for this, that's okay. However, later on, you do want to try to max this out. That way, you're able to get the maximum potential out of it. For sensors, we'll go with 6A just to increase the range with it. Fuel tank is default. And now we'll head over to the optional internals. This is not a build video. However, this is mostly just to showcase how to actually do it inside the Python, which is why we're trying to go over this kind of quickly. Later on, we'll have a little bit more in-depth guide. So you want plenty of cargo space. We have 3 size 6E cargo racks. So we run more than one collector limpet controller, mainly due to the fact that there is going to be hundreds of little platinum fragments all over the place, and the limpets are able to go gather those much quicker, allowing you to go asteroid to asteroid without getting stuck. So currently we're running collector limpets all grade A, 5A, 5A, and a 3A. Your prospector, one thing you do not want to go cheap on, you want this to be A grade. If you can get 3A, perfect, 2A. As long as it's an A grade, that's going to be the main thing. The only difference is how many limpets you're actually able to shoot. If you have a smaller prospector limpet controller, as long as it's grade A, it'll be fine. It just means you can only shoot 1 at a time instead of 2. An operation limpet is able to be used on the Python to sort of skirt the collector limpet. This will allow you to have just a little bit more collector limpets added to your list without it having an issue of it not fitting inside of that slot. A refinery is also required because if you don't have the refinery, you can't actually do anything with your platinum. Detailed surface scanner, that's another one that's going to be very important. That's how you're going to scan the ring and actually see where you need to be going for the hotspots. Alright, so now that we got the general breakdown over, we'll head over to the map and show you guys exactly where we're at. So today, we're going to be inside of the bubble at Omnicron Capricorni B. EB1 is going to be our goal. This is where you can get your double platinum hotspot. And before you leave, one thing to be sure of is you want to head over to your advanced maintenance tab. Fire all. Grab some fuel if you need it, and most importantly, restock your limpets. Now when it comes to platinum, having maxed out limpets to start out with just makes it easier. That way you don't have to worry about not having collector limpets to gather up your platinum for you. If you're starting out, technically you don't necessarily need the collector limpets, you can collect them manually. However, there's a higher risk of destroying the platinum, and it's just so much easier having collector limpets, so I highly recommend having several. As you guys can see, our max storage in this build is 192, which is a little bit on the smaller side. However, it is going to have much better maneuverability than most other mining ships inside the game. Alright, so once you head over to BB1, you head over to your firing group and make sure that you have your surface scanner linked to a button. You head over, you click on whatever button scheme that you have set up for it, and the goal here is going to be to launch our probes over at the ring. That's going to get us these little orange circles on the ring itself, which is then going to let us know which kind of hotspots are in the area. We're going to be landing in a place called a double platinum hotspot. That's basically going to be the highest probability of getting platinum inside of an area. It's not a 100% guarantee that you will have platinum in that spot. Now, while you're scanning, don't forget to scan this inner ring as well, and a probe on the actual ring itself. Both probes should land, and then you're good to go, and it'll actually unlock us the rest of these areas here. And once your probes hit, there's a couple different options we have. You want to head over to the point of interest, and this is going to show us where the hotspots are. Now, what we're most interested in for today's example is going to be the double platinum hotspot. Try to get us both for actually in the view here. So as you guys can see, we have two different platinum hotspots basically right on top of each other. So our goal here is to land in between them. That's going to get us the highest probability of platinum. Alright, so once you're inside of the area, you're going to head over, make sure you have your prospector mapped. As you guys can see, we have it in our secondary. And all we have to do now is scan the asteroids. Some of them are going to have platinum, some aren't. Alright, so now that we're pretty close, make sure you don't accidentally hit the asteroid. You're going to want to launch your prospector, and then we're going to target it. That way we can scan the asteroid itself and see what kind of material that this asteroid is made out of. We're looking for 30% or higher when it comes to platinum. That way we'll be able to fill up our refinery relatively quickly. Alright, so we found an asteroid with 42.39% platinum. This is a really good one. Alright, so now that you located a asteroid with platinum in it, you want to head over to your 4 panel, scroll over to your firing order. Now, this specific build, we're going to have our collector set to firing order 2. Prospector is going to be set to a different firing group, so you don't have to worry about that. Your mining lasers, we're going to have the top 2 set to firing order 1, the bottom 2 set to firing order 1, and the one in the middle, that's actually going to be firing order 2. Now you might be wondering why that's on the same firing order as the collectors. Well, basically, while we're holding down the button, if there is a max amount of collectors, it's going to ignore that, so it won't send any more out. And we need this laser set to a different firing order since it's on the bottom of the ship, which is actually where all the platinum is going to be. Now, on asteroids that aren't actually moving, this is much easier to gather the platinum without having to chase the rotation. However, ones that are moving takes a little bit more skill. Once you have that set up, your goal here is going to be to keep the prospector still targeted, so you can see the minerals going down. Swap to your firing order. Now you want to shoot your firing order 1 first, so that's just going to be our straight mining lasers. You can have everything inside of the weapons power. You don't need any systems or engines for what we're doing today. So you're going to shoot your lasers, and then you're going to shoot your bottom one. The bottom one is where all the fragments are going to go, which is why we actually have it set up that way. You're going to notice our collectors are going to immediately grab it and put them away immediately. Now if you rotate your ship a little bit, we'll be able to gather it a little bit quicker. That way it'll fill up our cargo bay much faster. The goal here is to get the max amount of platinum as quick as possible here, which is why we have so many collector limpets going at once. Now, another thing that you'll notice is asteroids will have a material content. That's going to be for engineering material. You don't really have to worry about that. Hey, we got another one really close by. So this one is 63% platinum. Now, when it says material content, that's just going to be specifically towards engineering material. You don't actually have to worry about that. So once you get lined up with the asteroid, now if you match the rotation, it'll allow your collector limits to gather much quicker. And also, the closer you get, the faster they're able to gather too. Your limpets aren't going to be the smartest tool inside, so the smaller distance they have, the more efficient they're going to be, and the faster you're going to be able to fill up and move on to the next asteroid.
Asteroid depleted. Cargo hold at maximum capacity.
Now, whenever it says cargo bay full, basically you want to head over to your inventory, and this is where we're going to drop a couple of our limpets. The reason why we grab so many is you don't want to be out here and run out of that. Every single time you jump in and out of a ring has a chance of spawning pirates. However, the first time you jump inside of a ring, you don't have to worry about that since you don't have anything that the pirates will want. So they'll leave you alone. However, if we jump out and jump back in, now that we have platinum, the pirates will attack us for that. Especially if you're in a slower ship like the Type 9, that's going to be a major issue. Now, we are specifically mining for platinum in this video. However, you can actually get a whole bunch of other minerals while you're doing this. So if you get minerals that you're not wanting, you can add them to the ignore list. So first off, you're just going to mine like normal. Obviously, this is just gold and platinum, so you don't really have to worry too much about it. However, as the collectors will pick up all the different resources around here. Make sure you have your scoop deployed too, that way it actually is able to gather everything for you. If you're working efficiently, you're going to notice it's going to have a whole lot of noise of them picking and dropping things almost immediately. So if you head over to your one panel, you can actually add things to your ignore list. That's basically going to tell your collectors that you don't care about this item. So for example, gold was added to the ignore list since it's not worth too much, and we're just going to be able to focus mostly on the platinum. So if there's any gold nuggets around, it won't worry about it. Now, obviously, engineering material is a different beast. If there's engineering material, obviously you want to keep that, so you don't want to have that kind of stuff added to your ignore list. It will eventually fill up for you for free. Alright, so let's say that you've done all that, and now you're curious about how to actually sell your platinum. Well, we have a couple different options here. We're going to be using Inara today to be focusing on that. The reason why we use the Python instead of a bigger ship, this is a little bit more readily available to people who are newer to the game, and on top of that, it has one of the best features inside the game. It's a medium ship. Larger ships don't have a guaranteed access to a pad in smaller stations, so you can be a lot less picky when it comes to selling with a small to medium ship. On top of that, if you mine inside of a stronghold area, if you're specifically working for power play, once again this is going to be for Yuri Grom, anywhere inside of this specific region is going to be giving you merits. Alright, so we're going to head over to Inara, and this is where we can set what we want. So we want to sell, where we at? We're at Omnicron. And what are we trying to sell? Well, we are trying to sell platinum. Quick search. This is not going to be for power play, but this is just specifics. So now that we're here, it's going to show you the list of demand, and it's going to show you the price. Obviously, the demand of 19, that's not really too much. However, at the Brawley Industrial Assembly, that's going to want 154 with 59,000 credits, and that's not too much. So if you keep on scrolling, you want to find one that pays a little bit decent. You might have to go further out in order to get one that's buying at a decent price. For example, this one, 244 at Anderson Platform in CB. That's a decent price. Over here at the very top, obviously we have a couple that are in 211, but the only problem is their demand is 19, so that's not really going to be able to buy everything that we found. It looks like Kwan Station is buying for 193 credits, so that's not too bad, and that's per ton, so every single platinum that you have, you're going to get 193,000 credits, which actually means it pays decent to mine platinum. Alright, so now that we're back inside the game, we're going to be selling at Kwan Sanctuary. It's a little bit less than others, however it's inside the system, and we're in a ship that can land here. So you're going to notice that Kwan Sanctuary is going to be found on the planet, and on top of that, they only have small and medium pads, so if you're in a larger ship like the Type 9, the Corvette, the Anaconda, you're not actually going to be able to sell here, which is another good reason why these small to medium mining ships, although they might not be able to hold as much storage, they're able to sell much more readily, so you can get a much higher profit. Now, if you have a fleet carrier that can pick and choose whichever system you sell in, you're not really trying to go for merits, you're just trying to sell regardless of wherever the best price is. Obviously, you don't really have to be as picky when it comes to that. Alright, so now that we made it to Kwan Market and we looked and see that the price on Inara was a little out of date, so unfortunately it's only going to be bought for 40,000 credits here. However, you're also going to notice a also consumed buy in this right side section here. So it looks like the best place to sell currently is going to be in Dominion Gateway at Emiki, which is only 15.85 light years away. Now, another good thing about this area is technically if you're with Yuri Grom, this place actually will get you merit since it's going to be part of your power play faction if you're with him, and it's within 25 light years of your stronghold. Mainly because it's in an unoccupied stage, which means it'll actually count for what we need to in the power plays, which is super cool. Now, if you guys are new here, we are Elite Dangerous Partners, so if you guys want all of the cool partner skins, be sure to follow on Acid Jurassic. And we'll also have a build video later on this week showcasing the different mining builds. We do have a couple presets. We're going to do the small to medium builds first, since that's what's going to get you the most amount of money early game, and it's also going to allow you to sell at more stations. However, we'll have a video later on showcasing the larger ships, since obviously they have a much higher damage output, which is also going to mean a higher yield, collecting faster, and also having a much wider storage expansion. Alright, so once you click on Starport Services, you want to head over to the Commodities Market. Go on the Sell tab, and hopefully the platinum that you're trying to sell is still at a decent price. As you guys can see, it is paying for 227,000 credits, and go ahead and sell it all. We also got some merit since Yuri Grom is our power play faction. Obviously, it wasn't that much, but we didn't sell a full cargo hold. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one for the next tutorial video. Also, we stream Elite Dangerous on Thursday and Fridays.